Right, so I'm just back to my liner brush with the thin oil paint, the thin paint with the thinner in it, and I'm just going to use some of that, pull my brush to a sharp point, and then just in here I've got a little tree that I wanted to put in. Well, it's not quite so little actually, it comes up to about there. So I'm going to cover over all this background basically now, no choice. I'm just going to pull that down. It might even get a bit more thinners. If you don't work for it, you don't flow properly, just add a tiny bit more thinners to your paint and that will always help. So you should be able to come down with one stroke here. One stroke all the way down to about there. That's it. And then I'll just basically work a few off of that. That. And then we've got a few that come in into that there, so we can have a thin one. There's a lot of branches actually on this. It's only small, but there's quite a few branches on it, so it's worth just coming in and getting some on there. There's a few actual branches coming right off at the base as well, just there. And then just at this side we've got a really gnarly one. Comes down and like wiggles about a bit. It's got a little kink in it just there. I'll just put that kink just there. And that's going to go down to there. If it mixes with the liquid white, you put the dark side back in again, just on that left hand side, because the light's going to hit it on the right. And then from that you can just comb and just here and there a few more little branches and stuff up in there. See, that actually comes up there. So again, we're just doing this, building the skeleton of this tree first, just the skeleton of it. Do some fast ones in as well. We've got quite a few branches just in there. Just darken that a tiny bit, just at the base. There we go. I have a lot of leaves on this one as well, just like we did on the other. So I'm just going to go back to my filbert brush again with the darks on the filbert. By this time the brush is very overloaded, so when you're touching, just be very, very gentle so that you get them gaps in between. Don't start at the top straight away, use a bit of the paint first, just down in there, and then come up, and you'll have them little gaps in the holes then. Just up there. And that'll also push everything back as well, having these darks in the foreground, because it's an early morning scene. and everything's really dark in the sky, the trees and stuff, it's set all this misty area further back. It'll really give you some lovely depth for that. Maybe just up in here, I'll have a bit of some as well. I want it to actually come down there, and it actually comes quite a bit out to about there. So I'm blocking some leaves for that, and then same over in here. Just going to touch myself some little leaves in. Now as I get lower down, I'm going to allow a bit of it to be shown through. So where we've got this one, I'll have it come in out like so, quite a big one, and then a few on that branch there, maybe just a few in there, but I want a bit of see through the tree. Basically I need a bit of see right in there. Happy. Block it in just a bit more in the centre. Happy. Now just down in here, there's a few little indications of something. As well. And then you can actually go back with your liner brush, and you can just run that branch back in again, straight back in again there. Love it. And then bring a bit of branch just in there. Right, that's good. Now I might also just below it put a few little branches coming up there for some little bushes. So what I'll do with that, I'll just come over the top gently and just indicate a couple of little bushes with some leaves on just in there. Something like that. That's good. Now I'm going to use that same dark brush, but only difference, I'm going into a little bit of sap green. So I've got the brush with the dark on it, all of the dark lavender colour, and then I'm just going to use this brush. I'm going to wipe out the excess paint in the brush by squeezing the bristles like so and pulling that out. And then sap green. Now just in here I want there to be a shadow for this tree. See where the tree is? So where that shadow comes along, I'm just going to tap some sap green in here. See how I just put it in quite loosely there. Now it's running out of colour. I'm just going to add that shadow just in there. See it? But don't kill all the darks. And then behind that we have the shadow which comes in. I want to leave this light bit here. So we're going to use that dark on the top side and then leave it showing through in there. So we've got this shadow of, I'm just going to tap in all the way along. You could use a 1-inch brush if you wanted for this, that would do the job. And now the shadow actually does slightly die off into the orange, because this is being hit by sunlight again back in there. I want that shadowed And here and there you can leave a bit of light, and then just put shadow underneath it again, but leave the light area in between. Really we'll actually get a bit of dark into that sap green as well eventually. So we've got a few areas just coming out of there. Tiniest bit of that dark colour onto that. So yeah, just a bit darker. Sorry for that. Put some nice bright highlights over the top of these darks as well, you see. It's limitless to what you can do with this, but I do want that predominantly shadowed in there, just dark for this foreground. And then maybe we've also got a bit of light that's glimmering over just into there, so I'm just going to put a bit of dark there. That'll help the light stand out better. But we've got a bit of something on that, a few bits of dark in. All the way up edge of the path like so. Happy. Now again we've got shadowed areas just in there as well. Just in underneath this tree. There's a shadow for that as well. Let that come over into there, that shadow. Also, just a straight sap green, just in here. Put that at the base first, and then once you've got it down there, in the base, just tap into it, and then tap up into that lighter area, slightly. It'll still remain lighter at the top of that. You can actually use some of them shadows just in there as well. Just a few of them. So I've got the greens basically and the black on a brush, fan brush. Now with that, I'm just going to come into these areas and just indicate some more little things going on so that it's not so uniformed. A few little shadows just going on in there. And you'll find that as you're doing this, it will mix slowly with the colours you've got underneath. And then you can actually, here and there, just put in some more little detail for that shadow. Or some bits of grass that are just slightly in shadow there. Even a little bit into that lighter area. And then a load more in there. So again, same thing. Just up in there. A few little strips of weeds and stuff like that growing in there. But basically that's in shadow as well. And that will allow me to just come in front of it and put a few more darkens. There. Good. Now I know I've got a few boulders. A few little boulders just going on in here. So we've got one just about there. Let's put the dark in first. Another little one there. It's quite a flat one, is that? And then just closer to us, just here, we've got a bigger one. A bigger rock. And it's in silhouette, like I say. I don't want it to have the light on it. Use some of that dark here and there. Just put it into the shadows. Maybe over in here for a bit of balance. Put a little one there. want to use that fan brush. Got a light green now. A light green colour just in there. Just going to put a bit of that underneath the stones. Just make them fit and make them sit in there nicely. A little bit under them. And if you step back again, you will see little spots. Like I just want to make that a bit higher. Like that. So this is all shadow. You can actually use a bit of that into that shadow maybe. And just up in here, a few little weeds. Just going on the top of that. Same again, use the dark sap green and you just tap anywhere where you want a little bush to be or anything like that. Use my knife, just come in and scratch a few little things for that. Smart. Really happy with how this is going. Been a really fun painting to do. Now I'm thinking I need to bring some highlights now into this because there's a bit of light creeping over and it's just hitting the tops, whereas the bottoms are all in shadow. So I'm just going to get a clean fan brush. Got my yellow green Daler-Rowney paint. Now I'm just going to use this paint on its own with some cadmium yellow. Right, cadmium yellow. So we've got us green and the cadmium yellow. So a little bit of the green and a lot more of the cadmium yellow in with it. Now you can, because we're painting over this paint here, I'm going to get some thinners and put some thinners in there. What the thinners do, they act as, they thin the paint and instantly it'll stick then. Whereas if it's not thinned down properly, it won't stick right. The paint will just smudge with it. You need a lot of paint on the brush and it needs to be quite thin. Both sides. You can get off the excess paint there and just pull through some of that. And what I do then is I push into the paint like so. And that's the way I'm going to load it and highlight some of these. Sometimes you can actually get some titanium white. I want this to be bright, so you can put some straight titanium white into that there, just to brighten that colour off enough so that it stands out. Again, just want to come up in here. You might see them now. And that just puts a few bits of something going on. Even up in there. highlights. Even in here, see? Push up. All I need to do, just use that. And just push up. And give you a few little spots that are a bit brighter. Just in there. Where I left the light, just going to use the corner of the fan brush. Just go into that. Into them shadows slightly. Yes. Under that rock, a few little brighter bits. Even into this shadow here, you can actually just tap and then allow it to just get darker into the shadow, and then it looks natural. Leave some darker and some lighter. That variation will help a lot. And down in here, a few little highlights. Just at the edge of the pathway. Now we can use that same colour, put some just in there as well. Push it right in, so that you got some little highlights just on that as well. Onto this one, into the highlighted area. Some of that in. And you get some highlights for that grass. Bring it up to the path. So you got some of the path as well. A few on the edge. Excellent. I might actually go over that quite a bit more, as there's some weeds are actually growing over the path. So now, where I first did the path, I'm just going to blend that slightly as I use this brush, just in there, just like so. Soften that edge off. You can actually allow a bit of that colour to come over the path, into the pathway as well. Just let some of that colour show in there. Straight through there as well. If you like, just a bit of light glimmering off of that. Actually go right down from it. Getting a bit darker actually, just in here now, this path. And as it goes further away into the mist, it just gets a bit lighter as it goes away. See that? Just allow it to go. And then it'll get very dark in here. happy. Great stuff. Now, at this stage I just need to think about making this bit of a path a bit neater, and bringing something also. I missed an area out where I should have actually just in here. This comes along and down here, and like that wall there. And this wall is going to go behind this tree just slightly. And then it actually comes right out to this point here. Just need that colour to be quite a bit darker. Just in there. That's it. And that's cool. Now I'll just get my brush with the darks on. I'll actually slightly paint over that. So that it just stands out as though it's behind. Right, I'm happy. Now I want just another boulder just here at the edge of the path. That's it. Give it a friend. And these are just in the dark. All the boulders on this, just in the dark. Yep, everyone over there. And then again, back to the fan brush with the greens on it. All the good greens. And then just put some grass underneath them. Just a little bit of them showing sometimes.